welcome to another killer podcast. As you... Stabbing, right?
It's
not,
murders.
It's not a slasher, though.
Yeah, it's really... I mean,
yeah, but people...
It's like supernatural.
There's definitely some slashing in this movie.
I mean, but it's not a slasher.
It doesn't need to be a slasher. Is there stabbing? Is there
I
motions
mean,
of stabbing?
Actually, I don't even think there's any stabbing.
There's definitely stabbing. The dude gets gutted, and bleh, but that's a little bit ahead of where we need to be. I prematurely gave away part of the movie. Everything I do is premature.
Everything.
Clearly.
Anyway, as you know, we're always joined by Nick, not Nikki Bella.
Hello.
Suit and tie movie guy.
Hi.
And today is a special a time we are actually joined by Adrienne. She will be on our channel as the Real People Gaming, which we haven't filmed anything yet, but soon that'll be coming right out to you. But she is our main host on Real People Gaming.
Would you consider yourself a good gamer?
No, not at all. Probably the worst.
She's being sarcastic.
Like the worst ever?
No, I mean, I don't want to say I'm the best at anything. And that's kind of a category unto itself to be the best at being the worst.
Well,
yeah.
I feel like she's very modest.
Very modest.
Modest. Yeah, that's
So, what's your favorite game? Because my favorite game of all time is Pong. I mean, the graphics from the 70s for that game, amazing. Pong, it's like the little balls.
No, I'm familiar with Pong.
It's the greatest thing since Tetris.
Do you live in the past all the time, or just like right now?
Well, sometimes I live in the past, but a lot of times I like to talk about the future. Nice segue, because this movie that we watched is Event Horizon. You guys really
set in the future.
Yeah, it's a segue, like not the motorized scooter thing,
not the scooter.
But a segue. If for you at home is when you lead into what's coming next. You kind of branch it together. It's almost as if. Okay, here's what we're talking about now, and here is what we're going to be talking about, and you bridge it together.
No, I have no idea.
Which is another segue for Event Horizon. God, I'm good.
I wouldn't say that.
I would.
Clearly.
You guys made me watch Event Horizon.
We didn't make him watch it.
You made me watch it.
We didn't make him watch
it. If you did not make me watch it, I would not have watched it. Now, guys, I will say... It was enjoyable. I'll probably never watch it again.
It was a good movie.
It's not that
it's got a good cast.
It's anything with Sam Neill and Lawrence Fishburne. It's not that I would not enjoy it, but it's one of those movies where it's not my thing.
It's too cerebral for Nick.
Yeah, I don't like thinking. I like fluffy bunnies and dinosaurs, and that's all I like.
Aren't those in the same movie? No.
Nah, depends. Goats. But I mean, guys, it was an enjoyable movie. I thought it was really good. Sam Neill did a great job. Considering it was 1997, the effects that they had.
Well, very limited.
The opening shot of the movie, we see the camera pan out from Sam Neill over this entire space station with Earth in the background, and I actually read that shot alone took up a third of the budget for the movie.
Which that actually shot just made me sick. Just watching it spin, I was like, when are you gonna stop? All right, when are you gonna stop?
Do we know what the budget was?
He had it. He had it right here.
Yes,
he had it right there.
Yes, I do. It was $60 million.
Oh, okay. So they spent $20 million on that shot.
Yeah. In 1997, we're coming off of Jurassic Park. We're coming off of Lost World, and I know you guys. Oh my God, he's talking about. But seriously, Jurassic Park is really the movie that really put CGI in people's eyes.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was done prior to that, but that was the movie that really gave the studios confidence to use.
Was there a lot of CGI done in this movie?
I would imagine there was at least a decent amount.
Yeah, there's a decent, but the machine itself really had to have.
Yeah, I think they relied more on practical effects and more good sci-fi.
Now, how much better could the movie have been if they had not spent a third of their budget on that opening scene, invested maybe in other effects,
other areas,
in this movie, or the cast is good, so you probably got like another third right there, and then the rest is just.
I mean, it was good.
I guess, the environment.
Back then, it was really expensive to do even the smallest CGI thing. So really, a 20-second CGI clip is X amount of dollars. Is a lot of money. But
I can imagine only a certain amount of people knew how to work with CGI back then. So I guess they were really expensive, and they just drove up the prices.
But how effective was that scene? Like, was that even necessary?
Was it worth it?
Yeah.
That's
but I really liked the sets in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like when he's climbing it, I don't know what I would call it, but when he's climbing in to fix stuff, and I
that
really
light tunnel. It was like a light tunnel.
Yeah. I really enjoy the the 90s movies where they have enough capabilities to fill in the gaps, but they still need to build these big elaborate sets, whereas now everything's done in front of a green screen, you know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's a screen right here. They can see it, right?
I don't.
There's
This is green.
There's no
They
green.
can't see the green.
Void behind us. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's just, there's no screen there.
There's
Are you
nothing
seeing
there.
things?
This is a
Hello?
green screen.
Are you seeing things?
It's green.
No.
You are. All right, listen. I know you're gonna try to tell me that there's something big right here that says Event Horizon, but he's lying. If this was 1993, not only would Jurassic Park still be the #1 movie of all time, and I wouldn't be a dork for watching it 3 times this week, but
You would be. You would be.
I don't know. I see Event Horizon. I see the whole movie poster. I have no idea what you're looking at.
so if there's not a green screen behind me, then when I do this with my green monster can, the picture is not gonna shine right through it. Then you'll be able to see this green can. Told you.
I hope you choke.
This is my 3rd one today. I'm like cracked out. I'm gonna learn how to powderize this and snort it. All right, back to you.
Next.
Alright.
All right, so we open up in the movie. It says in 2040 is actually when the Event Horizon gets lost behind the Neptune. I think it was Neptune, right?
Wait, how do you? The Event Horizon gets lost. I thought the Event Horizon was the event.
No, it's
Beyond the
the ship.
hori-
It was a research vessel.
Yes.
And
Wait.
the reactor.
Wait, I thought the Event Horizon was like the black hole thing.
No.
I thought it was the event beyond the horizon, and then that's what.
You think it's
Just
play
like a
on
lot of things in
words.
life, you're wrong. Anyway.
So wait. You mean to tell me that the ship's name was Event Horizon?
Yes.
I don't think that's right. I don't think it's right.
It,
See, segue.
So
space returns to normal, guys.
as you know, we do watch the movies next to us as we are doing the podcast to keep it for spacing. He just
Oh, it's the girl. Sorry.
The girl.
She was in Nip Tuck. Hold on, I have her name right here. Jolie
You
Richardson.
don't know your own handwriting?
he can't read.
I can't. What would Jolie?
You wrote it.
Jolie Richardson.
Yeah, it's a weird name, but a lot of the cast, Sam Neill we know, Lawrence Fishburne we know, he does Matrix a couple years later, but a lot of the actors and actresses in this I'm not personally familiar with. Doesn't mean they're not famous. I'm not very good with
Well,
names.
Lawrence Fishburne, as you know, was in Nightmare on Elm Street. He played one of the male nurses in Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Also on Pee-wee's Playhouse,
Really?
If you want to talk about horror.
Yeah,
Like Pee-wee?
those shows kind of freaked me out too.
Dude, it was terrifying.
It was like a bad
I'm
trip.
sorry.
That
But
show was
I
like a
did
bad trip.
watch Pee-wee's Playhouse.
You
Yeah.
look like you like Pee-wee.
Wow.
Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Anyway, so tell us about this movie. See, you're the one that wanted us to watch it. I've seen it once. I don't know a whole lot. What's the driving force behind this movie? What's the point of it?
The whole point of this movie is there's this research vessel that was supposed to go beyond where anybody else could, and it was gathering information and kind of getting there first, like an envoy almost. And they lose contact with it, so they send in this other ship that we see, these actors here, and they're supposed to go and find it. They're trying to recover the crew, and more importantly, recover the information and what drives the ship. The captain of this ship is the one who built that in the first place, so he's got, a lot invested in the recovery of this vessel.
And
in the first
that's
place.
Sam Neill, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The
Same
doctor.
with
The doctor
So-
where?
I mean, obviously, at this point, a lot of you, if you're watching this, have probably seen it. But just in case you're bored and it's 4 o'clock in the morning and you're watching us,
It's a good time.
this was the first time
Very
I
good
saw
time.
it too. So I'll try to do the best I can in layman's terms to explain this. They built the ship to be able to get to the stars, and as Sam Neill said, you're here. We've been space, blah blah blah. Everything gets lost, and bad things end up happening.
What happens?
Some really bad
Yes.
stuff.
Oh, we didn't get there. Right?
Yeah, we didn't.
We are not on this ship yet.
It's bad.
So
We're
they're
on a
a-
ship, but not the other ship.
They're
not
on the
the
Lois and Clark.
Event Horizon.
They're on the Lois and Clark, the rescue ship.
Superman?
No, Lewis
What?
and Clark. Lewis and
Yeah, that's what I said. Lois and
the
Clark.
expedition?
Lewis. Lewis.
Well, I mean, I know it's 29. Is that like a new version where they?
No, not like the whole
changed
Adam
sex?
and Eve, Adam
No.
and Steve thing. This is
No,
Lewis
no.
and Clark, like the
Who's
expedition.
Steve?
God, why are you like
Is
this?
he hot?
Who made you this way?
You really think that I'm extremely
Bad breath?
punny?
Oh.
I hate puns so much.
She
So
hates. And I come up with the best puns.
Lowest form of comedy, which suits him.
Let me
just
tell you.
fine.
Let me tell you, Pumpin. Okay. What I think
Die in a
is you
fire.
and I.
Find one to die in. That's all I ask. Just any fire. It could be a small fire. We'll add fuel to it. Just like you do all the time.
Speaking of fire, Sam Neill and the rest of the cast end up seeing premonitions as they get to this new ship.
Visions when they get there. They're still
Visions.
Well, the movie starts out with a vision that he has before he even gets to it.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's that's like his ex-girlfriend or his ex-wife, and we see later in the movie that she.
Yeah. What happened to her?
So it kind of leads up. It seems like that he wasn't around very much, and going off and basically he put all his focus into this ship.
Yeah.
So they finally get to the ship and they're looking for life forms. And they can't really get a readout on their machines.
No, it's pretty much giving full life schematics throughout the entire ship because it's like technically later on you find something out, but it says they can't justify or figure out where the life forms are coming from.
Yeah, that life exists, but it's not in any one place.
Yeah.
Right.
It seems like almost the ship might even be alive.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but
How can a ship be alive? That would be a stupid movie.
It
Would it?
wouldn't.
Anyway.
So they end up going onto the ship.
Yep, and they're looking they're floor to floor, room to room, and they're trying to find life on the ship.
And
they have hope at this point. These people might be alive
Well,
now.
well, the reason why they look for it because they received the transmission back on Earth. They received the transmission, which was kind of like they couldn't understand really what was on it, and
it's kind of jumbled in Latin, right?
yes. So what actually it comes out to say is "save me." That's where the frequency or the message that they received back on Earth. So that's why it's triggered them to go and save them.
Which is where I would tap out, like, save me. Out in deep space, I think not. Y'all are just gonna have to deal with that
you're
situation.
fucked.
Yeah, pass. Hard pass.
But the Space Force, we have a Space Force by then, right? No. Okay.
Oh dear.
No.
Anyway, so it's 2047.
I can't even right now.
We just have Elon Musk out there doing, like, Mars X.
His car's probably still out there.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because the best bet would be to let's go find a new planet instead of actually treating the one that we have nicely. But anyway, they get onto the ship. They start going room to room, and they keep kind of stumbling on. You get like these jump scares, like, oh, there's a hand, and then there's a whole body,
Why must
and
you
they're
touch
like
me?
frozen, floating in the air. The gravity is not activated yet.
Nope.
And it appears that everybody is pretty much dead. And they end up activating the gravity system.
Yes. Well, first, Justin actually gets sucked into the gravitron. It turns on automatically, and he gets sucked into it.
Yeah, but
They don't turn the gravity on until after
he gets sucked in.
because it blows up and it breaches the hull on their ship.
Got it, yeah.
So that's when they start boarding the.
So he gets sucked in, and then it releases this big explosion,
Yeah,
which
after he gets
damages everything.
Yeah.
And they send in one of the characters, Cooper, I think it was,
Actually, that sounds about right.
to go rescue him.
Yeah, that's actually his role, is rescue, search and rescue. That's his position.
So they send him in, and they end up pulling him out, and
And it triggered this explosion.
pretty much out cold.
Yeah, he's out. He's out for the count. So it triggers this explosion that actually shuts all their down, but it also blows up a hole into their ship, which was the way their search and rescue ship being Lois and Clark. So they breach the
Get
hole.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now they have to board the Event Horizon to be in safe safe area.
Conditions, yeah.
Yeah.
And so they have
Safe.
time to fix everything and
Being
then
relative here.
get out of there. And that's pretty much where shit hits the fucking fan.
Well, first, now they know they only have X amount of oxygen left because they only have about 20 hours left of oxygen left on the ship.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but you need oxygen to breathe and to live.
Really? Why?
Really?
Something with the
No one
internal
learned that.
combustion phalange.
You're just making up body parts now?
No.
Whole systems?
No, I took EMT, I know.
You took EMT.
Are you an EMT?
Do you
No,
have
you
one?
work at a cemetery with dead bodies.
So I know a
know how
lot
to
about
save
oxygen,
them.
don't
You
I?
don't know anything about oxygen.
Sure I do. They don't
Because
have
all
any.
you do is spit out carbon dioxide and hot air.
Hot air
Well,
You're
from
so
you.
hot air.
coming from you. All right.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I'm gonna kill her off camera.
I need you to not get oxygen ever again. Yeah.
wow.
She's so hot, isn't she? Anyway, so how did the movie progress from there, Tony?
Anyway, so
20 hours, no air. Now what?
We're never gonna get through this. We're just gonna be laughing the whole time.
right now, Dr. Weir and the captain are trying to figure out what happened to the previous previous crew, so it doesn't happen to them. So they're trying to figure that out. Dr. Weir's giving them information. They're starting to see visions here and there, like things popping up, and they're just starting to see things. So and they're asking Dr. Weir, like, how is this possible? And he's just saying they're hallucinating. It's all in their head. So he's just shrugging it all off, and they're just going crazy and mad.
Even though he's personally seen visions himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think he's kind of in denial.
Yeah, well,
Is he
actually,
in
that's a big
denial,
step.
or does he just not want them to know certain pieces of information?
I think that he is so obsessive compulsive scientist with his little baby, like they always are. Like, oh, this is my baby. It's perfect. Nothing could be wrong. And everything has to be the other people and not the actual creation. You created something that is going to kill the world, dumbass.
So like Jurassic Park.
The world? What world? It's in space.
It's going to kill the entire
The
world.
Which world? There are like
All of them.
14,000 of them
All
probably
of
within.
They're in Neptune.
All of them.
All
They're on
of
Neptune.
them. How can they even be on Neptune? Isn't it mostly
They're not on Neptune. They're around, in their orbit.
orbit? Yeah.
So
Got it. But regardless, it's going to make it to Earth. It's going to destroy everything.
it's
No,
not.
It's
no,
going
no.
to send
I
them
don't-
all.
I don't think
Nothing
the purpose
says
is to
that
get
in
there.
this
It's going to
movie.
send them all in hell.
No,
It's-
yeah, nothing.
that's not
If
a thing.
you
Not a thing at all.
unleash evil like this, you think the evil's just going to sit in a ship?
Yeah, it's been doing that for 7 years.
7
It
years.
literally
In
says
one
it
spot,
in
didn't
the
move.
movie. Yeah.
Now.
Just going, just orbiting.
But they're not going to keep sending ships over and over and over.
Well, if
to
they
rescue of the 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 rescue. At some point, it's just going to stop. Like,
maybe
real-
that's the plot.
forget these people. Forget them.
Maybe evil doesn't have a plan for the future. It
Or
just
maybe
does
it
evil for the
does.
sake of evil. I know if I were evil, I would do evil for the sake of evil without a lot of future planning. It's definitely not evil though.
So,
Little evil.
If you don't hear from us, you know why.
Wasn't me.
Yep.
You have no proof.
So some
No
of the visions they see are things that no one could know, and that's where they start thinking like, could it be that it has to be the ship? Like these are things I've never told anyone. You know, the woman, the doctor, she sees her son, and he's got things on his legs on the examining table, and then Lawrence Fishburne sees
Well, one of his crew members
his
that
crew
actually he
members
actually
that-
left behind, and he
caught
said he would
fire.
never do it again.
Right.
But he said he told no one about it, and he's starting to see them like engorged on fire.
And I mean, it's just stuff that is the worst possible fear for these people.
Yeah.
And they really start going, this has to be something with this ship. This ship is alive. This ship is this. This ship is that.
And we're saying it's safe. There's nothing wrong, and basically they're just going crazy and mad at this point. And they start seeing things. They're trying to, like I said, they're going back to the backlogs now. They found a disc when they first did their search and rescue. Was when they found the disc of one of their back ship logs. So they're going to go into that and see what happened.
Well, and they're going to try to use the core as well and take the event horizon to the nearest star so they can escape because they've acknowledged now Lewis and Clark can't get them anywhere. Even if they fixed it, they can't get there soon enough.
Yeah.
So he's trying to convince them now to use it, insisting it's safe, which makes me think again.
It's not.
He
Probably
doesn't-
not a good
Not-
idea.
He
No,
already
no.
knows it's not. He
No.
built it. He knows.
Yeah.
He knows.
I don't see any other signs that, I mean, a couple of ominous red herrings that the camera just looks at him and goes into his eye.
He
Looks.
looks
He's just like
shady.
evil. He's just like, uh-huh.
It's perfectly safe.
Yeah.
So the core of this ship, I mean, the design of it was really cool. You know, we get these spinning pieces. Initially, it was a little bit different. It was going to have a stable black hole. It wasn't just going to be one that opens up and closes. But they ended up changing the design to have it close up instead of keeping it like it was. But you know, we've talked a little bit about the sets, but let's talk about the suits that they wear in this movie. So those suits were actually 65 pounds and were causing a lot of back injuries to the cast. They couldn't sit down in them. So they ended up creating these hanging pole like apparatus where they would be able to hook on and it would
Relieve
alleviate
some of the weight. Yeah.
And the writer of the whole story, his name was Philip Eisner, and he initially wanted this to be like The Shining, but in space.
Huh.
And it's actually quite different. It was going to be like Aliens, and then they ended
I
up
see that.
going with something quite a bit more, terrifying. Aliens are pretty beatable. This is a whole nother world. But he would visit the set from time to time and, give input and stuff. And Lawrence Fishburne yelled at him, "You did this to us!" I mean, I can imagine, back then they didn't have the the CGI technology. These days they'd be wearing all those sensors and makeup. When it's like the Grinch. And I know it's kind of weird to talk about during this, but the Grinch was 8 hours of makeup. 12 hours of makeup. Now they would just have sensors all over and they just talk normal. So, back then it was
like all the Marvel movies too.
Yeah. Well, it could be really tough on the actors having to wear these all this makeup and these suits and stuff. But as far as the movie goes, we start progressing. Justin is laying on the examination table, and the doctor's kind of walking by and checking on him, and then all of a sudden he's gone. So. They're freaking out. Where's he at? They're looking all over for him, and they end up finding him. Unfortunately.
Yeah. He makes his way to the airlock pad. Yeah. And he's like dazed in a dazed state where he's like sleepwalking, and then they're trying to do whatever they can to save him. So they're calling on the radio to Captain, which is Lawrence Fishburne, saying what happened, and he's like I said, he's just in a daze in the airlock.
And he's the captain's trying to get back to the airlock as fast as they can. They're trying to override it. He's saying, "You haven't seen what I've seen. It's it's terrible."
He's traumatized.
And then all of a sudden, once it's she's trying to talk him down. Mama bear, baby bear, whatever they call it. They have these little.
He's baby bear, and she's mama
bear.
Yep.
There's two buttons. Open, close, whatever. Open the front door, open the outer door, and he nope. And then after he presses that button, he kind of comes through like
the alarm goes off. The alarm goes off, wakes him up,
and he's like, "No, let me out of here, And we get a really intense, period of time where they're trying to save him, and Lawrence Fishburne's like, "You're not gonna die. Breathe out. So he posts off of the outer wall of the other ship, and as the airlock opens, he's pouring blood, but he's breathing out right before the doors open, and Lawrence Fishburne kicks off and basically tackles him back into the airlock, and he survives. But at that point, he's he's really messed up.
Yeah, they just put him in the cryogenic chamber
he
where they would sleep.
Persist from that point,
So, as we move forward in the movie, it just continues to get more graphic, and then finally we get a little bit of a different translation from the Latin that we heard earlier in the movie. Originally the translation was "Save me," and it ended up being something.
Save yourself from hell.
So basically, then the captain says, "Well, the ship knows like our secret stuff. I've never told anybody," and he starts to see things, and definitely their fears.
And then they end up getting actual footage from the ship with the original crew.
The captain's log. Yeah,
it's so.
The best part of this movie. Like,
he's gonna have to bleep that, but there's nothing. I had to say it.
It's very
so
grotesque.
Messed up.
It's so grotesque.
So awful.
But that's one of the reasons behind the rating, why it was so difficult to get it passed by the MPAA.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, as the first half of the movie really wasn't that bad. You get a couple things, but it just continues to get worse and worse and worse. And we'll get into the rating, and everything a little bit because there's actually specifically a scene I wanted to talk about with the rating and how they had to cut down the film. But so they're basically like, let's get the F out of here.
Yep.
Like, we gotta go.
They got their ship up and running now. Now they're just like, as soon as I get away from this ship, I'm just gonna send tactical missiles at it. I'm gonna blow this son of a bitch up.
Yeah,
and
Lawrence Fishburne is done.
Yeah.
that was the plan, was to completely destroy it. And Sam Neill, he's you can't do it. This is my ship, blah blah blah. And then you start to see him descend into madness.
Yeah.
He said, if you don't comply, you're gonna walk home. And he's like, I am home.
Yeah.
And it just gets really dark.
Well,
just backs into the ship.
We see them. We see them at the core. They're collecting oxygen bottles, and there's that really cool tunnel that I've read that the tunnel in this signifies 9 levels of hell or 9 layers of hell or something. I'm not really aware of what that means.
Well, that's the connection of the ship and then the lifeboat.
Okay, yeah.
So there's 9 different explosions on there.
So they're at the core. They're getting the oxygen bottles, and the doctor, as she's walking out, hears her son. She starts seeing visions of her son, and she ends up climbing up this ladder, and she ends up getting shoved off, and it's pretty graphic. She's like, everything's like legs up here.
But I don't know if watch a little longer, but the son actually looked down and he smiles and he turns away.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. You think it's just a vision in her head, but no, it was. They really was there.
There's something more going on here with this shit.
So she's dead, and the doctor Sam Neill ends up finding her, and there's still a little bit of his humanity left. You know, he runs up to her and he's,
Oh my god, yeah.
And then we see a long not flashback, we see a long vision similar to the one at the beginning, where we find out it's, you know, it was obviously his wife or his ex-wife, and she kills herself in the bathtub, and, you know, she shows up, and, you know, he's embracing her, and her eyes are closed, so we all know what's coming, and she opens her eyes, and they're gone, and that's where his eyes basically get torn out, and completely goes shit crazy.
Yeah. And he just goes, I'm going to show you now. And then so he disappears. And then now we're going to go see them trying to get off the ship.
Well, and if you notice when she's dead there too, laying there on the ground, her eyes are completely blacked
Oh, yeah,
out.
they are completely blacked out.
There's something completely wrong there with her eyes. And I think that's kind of what's happening with everybody here is they're not able to see things as they really are anymore.
It's the evil inside of them. It's penetrating them.
God, everything
Where's he going
has
with
to
this?
go in that same
Inside of them.
nothing wants you
Inside of you.
No.
Inside of you.
I'm taking my headphones off.
I wanna be how I long to be inside of you. Inside of you, the devil kills you all. Thank you.
You done?
No
Good?
one's.
Done singing? Done singing? No solo?
American Idol?
No.
Who watches
Yeah,
No.
come on.
Why? No.
That's
But
so
did it get
cute.
canceled?
I don't know.
Hope so.
I don't watch that crap. Anyway,
Anyways, so they're trying to make it off the ship.
they're trying to blow everything up, and they see the doctor basically in the back of him leave the ship and go on to the event horizon. So the crew member that's still left is contacting Lawrence Fishburne like, oh, I just saw the doctor go on there, and they realize that the explosives
Took
are
one
missing.
explosive, yeah.
And the crew member is just searching. Oh, hey, where are they? He's tearing everything apart, trying to find them. And he finally finds them and flips them open. And it's like 5 seconds left.
Yep.
And this is a really good piece of acting. I would say, honestly, for such a small part, it was one of my favorite parts of the entire movie. Just like he sees it, and you see just everything leave his face. He's completely given up.
Yeah.
He knows there's nothing he can do, and it's just.
Well, it looks like acceptance. Looks like he's just accepting.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
like,
that was the moment where
that's
like
it.
there's nothing
Just-
he can do, and it's not just him who's gonna suffer; it's everybody. And it was such a tragic death for him because he was one of my favorite characters. He was
Yeah.
funny. He was very raw in his performance, and then they just. He probably got the best death though, if we
Yeah.
can just think about that for a 2nd.
Uh-huh.
He got like
Well, that's a point blank explosion straight
Yeah.
to the
like,
face.
you didn't really suffer too much, and so it's like if everybody has to die potentially, then at least he went out quick as opposed to.
Yeah, and you just,
The other
I love it. The look of defeat. It's just, you know, and it was really powerful. So I mean, this is really where.
So now they're figuring out that it's Weir. Now they're saying now Lawrence Fishburne actually just watched that explode, knowing that he has no chance of going home, and one of his crew members just died. He's just having a problem with it right now. Now he's just like, it's Weir,
Yeah.
and now he's telling all the crew to look for Weir because he's doing it.
Yeah, and the rescue Cooper, he just gets jettisoned off into space
From the explosion.
and that, you know, from such a tragic and graphic scene to kind of a little bit of comedy. You know,
Yeah.
the reaction of Cooper, he's like, no, I gotta get out, I gotta get, this all happens to me, I gotta get back towards this ship. And
What accent is that? What
I
are
don't
you
know.
doing?
But he rips
just
out
threw
his
it out there.
oxygen to
He just
jettison
jettisoned,
back to I'm coming. That was
I'm coming,
great.
Yep.
That was
I
great.
mean, at that point, you know, why not? Balls to the wall.
Well, that's like one of the old comics and cartoons. How they used to do it. They just the exhaust and on the oxygen it just shoots back. Just
Yeah.
like
Now,
anything.
do you think those suits in 2047 can get through Earth's atmosphere safely, though? Or is he just like, I'd rather die this way, and he's just.
Well, he
not-
just tried to make it back to the ship.
Ooh,
He just tried to make it back to the
Yeah.
ship in general.
the eyes.
So now, like I said, Lawrence Fishburne puts the all points bulletin for Dr. Weir, and I think there was one more crew member left on ship,
Yeah,
or
and-
two. No, the girl's still on there too.
And-
The blonde doctor,
Yeah.
or the
And-
blonde.
This is probably the
Whatever
most
he is saying.
graphic part of the entire movie. He
Yeah.
as he's getting told this, he turns and just gets goozled by.
What's
Goozled.
It's a wrestling term.
that what it
Before
is?
the choke slam, you get goozled. That initial snatch is a goozle. So he gets
Like a
he gets snatched
gangster's
around the
term.
throat, and obviously this isn't just human Sam Neill anymore. He's
Gone.
got superpower and he's strength, and he ends up slamming him up against to just start cutting, and we see all these knives and stuff that he's grabbing, but we're not seeing what happens. And then when Lawrence Fishburne enters the room, he's been strung up and cut open, and he's hanging from wires
flayed,
in his
basically.
skin. But this scene, this is really what I wanted to talk about. There's a few things here.
Well, we're gonna skip over the fact that people do this as a fetish by hung up like that.
I
Like that
mean,
is
not
a
with
fetish.
the gutted.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I
I'm
don't
talking about
think-
just the
I don't
hooks in
think
his
they're
back.
gutted like a
Just the
deer.
hooks.
No, with the hooks in the back.
Yeah,
though.
but there's a way to do that safely.
Yeah.
If anybody's, you know.
But this movie was initially 130 minutes long, so it was over 2 hours. And the test screening of the movie found that the audience really thought it was too much. It was too gory. It was much, much more intense than what we see. So they ended up the studio forced the director to cut down 30 minutes from the movie.
That's a lot.
And they
Yeah.
had an NC-17 rating, and this scene in particular, the way they initially filmed it was his intestines and everything were dangling down, but were still attached while he's suspended. And when Lawrence Fishburne comes in, he sits up and looks around and like looks at himself and what has happened to him. And Lawrence Fishburne puts him down. He shoots him in the head and
Mercy
puts him
kill.
down.
Yeah.
So the movie was a lot longer, and it was supposed to be a lot more graphic, but because of the test audiences and the NC-17, they ended up cutting out a lot of stuff. So about a year after the film came out, the head of Paramount, I'm gonna get his name real quick, John Goldwyn, he thought that the movie wasn't properly released. It should have been released how it was. So they were gonna do an extended director's cut with the original footage, but they realized they didn't know where they shipped the footage off to. So they were traveling all over the world trying to track down this footage, and some of it was actually found in a salt mine in Transylvania. I swear, I mean,
A cursed film.
but
Why?
unfortunately, due to bad archiving, most of the footage was lost. So there are some scenes that were able to be restored, but most of it was not.
Yeah,
and that's really sad because, I mean, just watching this the first time, I would love to have seen an extended version of this with more gore.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
test audiences from that, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, you know what,
If you're
test
watching-
audiences? Go I love the F word.
Why?
It's the best swear word, to be fair.
It is. It was
But-
needed.
It's
But you
so
know I have
flexible.
to edit that, and they don't like that.
Well, maybe you should have provided Yoo-hoo.
Or, tell us that you do like it.
Yeah. If you had Yoo-hoo here, then maybe I would actually stop swearing.
That's-
but until then,
not in
not
the budget
gonna.
for
It's not even true.
Not gonna.
It's not in the
Literally
budget.
Not, true.
Not
He
gonna
is
do
full
it.
of lies.
So we kind of come up to the climax of the movie, and I would have to say it's pretty badass.
It's a pretty good fight.
So Sam Neill's face is all Exorcist torn up. He's got blood hanging down. There's slices here. His
closed
eyes are out.
Eyes back up.
So I actually read that he had to get to set at 3 o'clock in the morning to do 7 to 8 hours of makeup before he could start filming.
I couldn't imagine that.
I mean, no. I mean, again, we were talking about the CGI. These days, he would just have balls all over his face. I don't know about you guys, but I would
Familiar?
much prefer balls on my face.
We know.
We know.
Wait.
We definitely.
No,
know.
not
It's
that
even-
kind of balls.
not
That's
even-
not what I
Any kind
meant.
of balls.
Not even a
That's not
secret.
what I meant.
It's
I
not
didn't
even a
mean that.
secret.
Fine.
Not
I did
even
not
a-
mean that.
Yeah.
So
Bruh.
Lawrence Fishburne gets the. I guess it's like a tool to repair the ship.
It's like a bolt.
Yeah, they were using it
bolts.
earlier
Yeah.
to seal up the hole.
Yep. So he's attempting to find Sam Neill and shoot him down with this, and he's essentially squared off in a Mexican stand. Oh, we're gonna shoot you.
With the accents again. You are not good at those.
Well, Weir has one, and he's
But
he's like, if you miss me, you'll breach the hull.
Yeah.
Right. And he's basically like, what makes you think I'm gonna miss? And that's where, what's her name? I can never. How do you pronounce her name?
Jolie?
Jolie.
Are you talking about
Jolie
Jolie?
Richardson tries to come in, and he
Yeah.
swats her out of the air, and
Throws her again, knocks her out again.
she just spends like
The whole movie
I just
sleeping.
spit everywhere.
Yeah, a lot of.
She just spends like the last third of the movie knocked out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
pretty much.
unconscious entirely.
So they
But
end
no,
up.
it keeps her alive.
Yeah.
It
well,
might be because she's like, she looks dead.
well, they breached the hull.
Because Cooper actually comes up to the windshield. He was like, "Hey guys, bring me in!" Oh
He
crap!
tries shooting it. Howdy, y'all! Ow! So they shoot the window.
Did you watch a western today?
Quick and the Dead.
Oh, that was today.
Yeah. I'm quick to trigger, and then I feel dead afterwards. So,
Oh.
so
bad.
you know, everything is rushing out. They're trying to hang on, and Lawrence
That accent
Fishburne
too.
takes this tool and jams the door open, and she's trying to reach out, like, come on, hurry up.
Very suspenseful.
Come on, come to me, come on,
Your
grab
hand
my
is always
hand.
so dramatic in movies too. Like, there's got to be a better way to do that.
They do it in a lot of movies,
They
and
really
it's just
do.
right before the door closes. Come on, that's like very like
Like-
Indiana Jones.
I'm sorry, but peace. Like, I'm out. Like,
I-
you're gonna have to figure this out on your own.
I was expecting it to.
Yeah, and you just get the
Yeah.
arm, but that's where the comedy would come in. They're like, I got an arm.
It's supposed to be dramatic, like, and tense. Like, you need some tension in movies because you
there's
have
a lot
like
of
a
tension
certain
in
level
this
of build up there, and then you want either to see the gore, which is what we were all expecting.
Yeah, I was
or
expecting my butt like kind of
the
clenched up watching him reach
relief
for it.
of,
Like,
he
oh,
got
is he gonna make
her
it? No.
There are no missing limbs
Yeah.
this time.
So she ends up getting through the door, and
So they hear the knocking on what?
right. So they're running to the airlock, and it's Cooper. And
Well, you're not supposed to know it's Cooper because Weird
I
got,
know, they
Weird
don't
got
know it's
sucked
Cooper.
out.
They're worried it's weird. They're like, is this dude really?
So they grab
still?"
weapons.
yeah, but he's like, oh yeah.
Another little jump scare. But it's like, don't shoot, don't hit me. But the way he said it's hilarious. Yo, don't hit me.
The object is to basically blow up that tunnel, which separates, the core and everything from the lifeboat.
Yes.
And the plan from there is to put on the emergency beacon so they can get rescued.
Which is hard because actually they just blew up the bridge. So that's one of the things that it was difficult. Now they're just going to drift out in space.
So Lawrence Fishburne goes back
To breach it. He's going to try to set off the nukes. He was like, he has the push clicker. He's going to activate all the bombs or the MC4 or whatever they use. He's going to activate those so we can press the button and just launch him through. But
well, we get this Shining-esque scene where we see blood filling up the ceiling and it just pours down and shoots down the hall. It was very much The Shining in space.
Like through the elevators.
And then we get the end scene where Lawrence Fishburne, the fire, everything's on fire, and there was actually a scene in this. I got details in my notes, but there was a scene. My notes.
Well, actually, this is where, like, when he activates the bomb, on the last bomb, he grabs the button for the explosion, and then he sees Weir. Weir comes up as a fire, and in his all form, in his, like, whole demon form. So he comes out, and then he starts to shoot fire at him, and then he just dives through the closing of the chamber.
Yep. Yeah. And the gravity drive fire in the movie, I don't know if it was this one or a different part, like earlier in the movie, but that actually caused a real fire on set and destroyed a lot of
probably
lot of
this
set
one.
pieces.
Because this one, everything's on fire in the ending part.
So he ends up grabbing the button, and basically he's going to sacrifice himself so the other three can live.
But they have a pretty good fight until then. Like they're exchanging blows.
Yeah,
like
they're going back and forth. And he grabs one of the oxygen bottles and
knocks it. It goes punk, punk, punk. And like it's a funny noise.
Right as he's pretty much defeated, he and we get the
no boom, and so that tunnel blows up and it separates the lifeboat from the chamber, from the gravity core.
Right. All in all, I thought it was a really good climax. I enjoyed the movie.
Sorry, I'm a child.
I don't really.
He said
understand.
movie. That's all he said. He said movie.
No, I definitely. Yeah, no. Yeah, no, that's exactly. I think that's funny.
Yeah.
That's a funny word.
Movie. Got it.
Yeah, that's
Now,
what I laughed at.
the ending is really something where it's one of those where you really got to think about it, and it can.
Was that hard for you?
There, what?
Nothing.
No, it's not. There could be a couple different potential ways to look at it
And interpret it.
So we see that there's a rescue team there. They're coming to save the 3 remaining survivors, and when the helmet of the rescue crew member comes off, it's I don't know.
Well, the first one's Weir. First one, she wakes up and she wakes up and it's Weir's face. He's like, "You're with us," and then she starts
And
screaming.
she starts
to wake
freaking
up.
out, and Cooper's trying to calm down, and we see that
We're safe.
Yeah, we see that they're safe, and that the rescue crew member is actually a different person and not weird. But from there, it's
Ominous.
are they really safe? Is she just having some PTSD flashbacks, when obviously this is a traumatic experience, regardless if they're actually
yeah.
safe or not, she's gonna have some horrible flashbacks.
Oh, yeah.
But it seems that they were more implying that it was the ship itself, not just the core, but the entire ship that was this gateway to another dimension or hell or whatever you want to call it, and they really aren't safe.
Yeah, it just zooms out, and then you see the ceiling of the doors, and that's when it cuts to black. And you go away with it with a couple different feelings of not really
Yeah.
knowing what happened.
You know, like, are they safe? Is the cycle going to continue? Is the rescue beacon just luring in more people, and they're also going to suffer the same way, and it's just going to continue to be the case? Or is she stuck in some sort of cyclical hell that she'll never get out of? And it doesn't let you know for sure what exactly happens to the crew, if they're safe, if they're not safe.
And I like that.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I prefer movies that don't have like a cookie cutter happy ending.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts when everything seems like so dark, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, but everybody lives and everybody's fine, and yay. Well, no, that doesn't happen in real life.
Yeah, this you can kind of determine what you think the ending is supposed to be. I mean, and what I got from it was that it was not just the core; it was the ship itself. Mm-hmm. Every part of that ship is this demon now, essentially, and they're not safe. That was what I got, but. It seems that, even though they're trying to reach distant planets, they were trying to reach the stars that they normally wouldn't be able to reach, and they ended up going to these parallel dimensions, which, they get the term hell gets used, but he in the earlier Sam Neill says, it's not necessarily hell; it's just a label you give it.
Well, it's a biblical. Right.
Hell
is more biblical rather than a place.
It's their way to make it more understanding, for
a comparison.
Well,
like,
exactly.
This is what
comparison.
this is like.
I didn't get the impression that it was necessarily hell, but it was just somewhere
seemed
like
a hell,
evil, hellish
An
at the level. But I mean, guys, I enjoyed the movie. It's not really something that I would rewatch a lot. It's not, but all in all, I thought it was good, and it really didn't get a whole lot of respect at first. It didn't make a lot of money. It lost actually quite a bit of money, but it's developed one of a cult following, and the director. The director of the movie was
some guy, probably.
Yeah, I can never. Paul Anderson.
With a name,
it was,
maybe?
Paul Anderson. So, Paul W.S. Anderson. So he actually turned down Mortal Kombat Annihilation to do this movie. Oh man, that must have been real tough. That's a horrible movie.
Now, don't get me wrong.
Well,
Mortal
the script
Kombat
was pretty
is
bad.
great. It's just not that movie.
Yeah,
in
no.
particular.
It was not.
Everybody likes Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, even the original was like good bad, but Annihilation was terrible. But I mean,
probably one of the movies
for
ever made.
for as
movie.
bad as the movie did in theaters and money wise, it was still a much better choice than.
I think it was
Mortal
ahead of
Kombat
its time.
Annihilation.
So I think the movie was a little too cerebral for its time. There's a lot of science.
Cereal?
Yes.
What kind of cereal?
What kind of cereal?
Captain Crunch?
Reese's?
First off, Captain Crunch is great, but
It is great.
It really
Fruity
needs
Pebbles?
the Crunch berries
Cookie
to be
Crisp.
successful.
Oh man.
Cookie Crisp.
Yeah.
Who cares about the
All
cookie?
right, continue. I'm
What?
sorry.
I'm sorry.
Well,
We're getting. We'll get
Not
some cereal after this.
cerebral,
We'll get some.
clearly. No, the movie had a lot of science. It had a lot of theories. It went into, black holes and wormholes and different dimensions. And I think when people went to see horror movies, they were used to slashers. They were used to
That's not a
really
knife.
basic levels of horror. And something like this, where you have torture and you have this buildup and you have tension and then you have all the guesswork at the end of the movie. I really don't think that the audiences, test audiences, still looking at you, don't, Nick, don't. I don't think that they were ready for that, but I think that if we had a similar movie now, it would really do well in theaters.
I think a lot of times when people think of space and outer space, they think aliens. And I think a lot of people were looking at it or going into it thinking that there's going to be aliens.
Yeah.
So I think that messed up with the test subject as well.
I think so too, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I am one of the people that I like stuff like that. I like monster movies. I like alien movies.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if that's what we were going to see. And it's not like I disliked it, but that's not my thing. But I would still rate it a lot better than what it gets. I mean, the cult following, I think, is well deserved, and I mean,
There's a lot of good story there.
It's
a lot
definitely
of
an
good story.
enjoyable movie. If you guys haven't seen it, I don't know why you're watching this, but if you haven't seen it, go check it out. And for those of you that have seen it, watch it again.
Are you gonna burp? What was that?
Little chest thing.
Get
Anyway.
emotional?
No, it's just long-winded.
We know.
E-cig.
So if you have any other analysis on it, please just put it down in the description. We'll talk with you and see how it meshes with our opinions on different scenes.
Yeah.
give it a try.
Yeah, we like feedback. You know, there's a lot of discussion on these movies, and you know, sometimes we don't have enough time to just sit down there and really iron out everything. And trying to balance all the different theories and facts of the movies.
Which we have so many of those too, and I'm sure that you guys also have your own theories on what this means, especially with the ending the way that it is.
Yeah, and any other movies that we do, because only so much we forget sometimes. Like we think after the fact, like, oh, I forgot about this, or something. So you know, you guys think of stuff that as we're talking about it, you can just plot it in. Oh, you remember this part, or this is what really happened.
There are things that Easter eggs and things that you don't notice the first 2 or 3 times you watch it, if you watch it that many times, and then somebody who's more seasoned or really loves the movie can watch this movie and be like, oh, you guys didn't notice this one little part here, and that tells you all this information.
And we like fanatics like that.
Oh, yeah.
We want to know, and if you guys want us to watch something else specifically that you like, another fanatic, well, we'll definitely watch it. We'll try to get everyone to watch it.
Looking at you, Nick.
That's definitely something that I personally love. When I watch movies, we were talking earlier about watching the movies with subtitles, so we're not missing anything. I mean, if it's a movie that I really enjoyed, I will watch it multiple times and try to pick up the little, little like you said, Easter eggs and stuff that we might have missed. And I'll go and read like the facts and excuse me, and I'll listen to like the DVD commentary and stuff with the directors. That's always a lot of fun if you have absolutely no life. But I mean, as far as a rating for this movie, I'd probably give it like a 6.5. You know,
6.5, really?
Yeah,
Really?
that seems like the
low.
perfect number. 6.5. 6.5. What do you guys think? You guys like 6.5, or are you more of a 7 to 8 type person?
6.5 is unimpressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
6.5 is perfectly impressive.
Of course you do.
It's a nice girthy number.
Is it though?
You know what, guys? Doesn't really matter.
For
If you
12.
guys like what you see, comment, like, subscribe. That's the most important. Hit the little bell. It'll give you a notification every time we do a new video. If there's anything you guys want to see, if you have any comments or suggestions, tell about it in the comment section below. Thank you so much for coming out. We would really love to see you again. You add a lot of depth and personality to the show, as well as some stupendous...
I just like the fact that she made fun of you a lot in this episode,
Yeah.
more than I could. So she added to that. So it was
I can't
actually
help
Well, it keeps the banter going. So I think we should celebrate Tony.
yeah.
You got Yoo-hoo, didn't you?
You want to go get him?
You got the Yoo-hoo
You
because
wanna
you knew
go-
she was going to be...
you wanna go get him?
I knew it. I
You
knew
want to go
it.
get him?
You guys wait here. I'm going to go get the Yoo-hoo.
All right, cool.
I'm so excited.
All right.
Yeah, you do that.
Uh-huh.
All right.
20 minutes on the Stairmaster.
Yeah,
for
have
this,
fun.
and then-
Yep.
I'm gonna lock the door. Hold on.
I don't even like you. He's so excited. No.
So as it is a special occasion to have Adrienne here from Real People Gaming, I wanted to bring in some Yoo-hoo. Hey, you want a Yoo-hoo?
I do.
Awesome.
Yeah, the only thing that would make this better is if Nick could watch me drink it in his face.
He'll see it on camera.
Oh, that's true.
Cheers.
Cheers. You know,
There's nothing like it.
I don't really like it that much, but it tastes so good knowing he can't have any.
Yeah.
So good.
Special occasions, you know.
The suffering.
It's really good.
Yeah.
As he said, like, subscribe, hit the bell. Make sure you follow us on all of our Instagrams, our social medias. Her social media will be in the description below. As you know, she'll be doing Real People Gaming coming out soon. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Thanks. Bye.